What's up? What's up? Well, welcome. This is not show number 1. This is show number 2. This is unofficial show number 2. We don't have an official name, but we welcome suggestions. Everybody, please let us know that you're on. You need to turn that down. Well, welcome. This is not show number 1. This is show number 2. It's unofficial show number 2. We don't have an official name, but we welcome suggestions. Sorry about the feedback, folks. Please let us know that you're on. You need to turn. Where's all that feedback coming from? Welcome. This is not show number 1. This is show number 2. Okay, are we good now? We're good. What's up, Jose? Ryan, thank you for joining. Susan
Where's
on.
the feedback coming from?
I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from. This is not show number 1. Give us a second. Okay. Do you have the show up? What's up, Jose? Ryan, thank you for joining. Susan on. I don't know. Give me a second. I'm going to have to disconnect and come back. Let's try that again. I think we just found the feedback. Sorry about that, guys. This is live. So we welcome any suggestions. Ryan said, not here, I'm on my phone. Thank you. What's up, Jose? This is going to be a good show. I'm so glad you jumped on, and Ryan. But we're welcome any suggestions that you guys might have for show names. Obviously, if you didn't see the first show, this is my mom. And she's a psychic medium, Pam Jenkins. And real quick, for anyone who didn't see the last show, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. Mom?
Oh, you want me to tell me? Okay, I'm asleep over here. I'm a psychic medium. I'm able to communicate with people that have crossed over, as well as look at things that have gone on in the past, what's currently going on, and the possibility of things for the future.
Okay, thank you. Well, tonight we're going to talk about crystals. But first, before we get into the big crystal discussion, I was telling you that my knees are hurting and they're aching, and I also have a pain right here that's killing me right now, and you were going to explain to me what that is. So I figured we'd save that for now so you could explain it and everybody could understand that different pains in your body, you know, are manifested because you're not paying attention to something that you've got going on spiritually.
Usually on an emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
The knees represent pride and, okay? You have a stubborn ego and pride, inability to bend, fear, inflexibility, and you won't give in. That you at all.
Hold on. I think we have a little bit of a sound issue. Do you want to disconnect and reconnect real quick so we can fix it? Because we're missing like every other word from you.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Now, one more time, because I think we missed like every other word.
The knees represent pride and ego. Stubborn, fear, inflexibility, and won't give in. I said that doesn't sound, does it?
No, it's not me at all. I'm totally flexible. I definitely am not stubborn. But we are having a little bit of a sound thing. So can you disconnect real quick and then reconnect? Because I think that sound is causing an issue right now.
What is it?
The sound. You got a little sound issue. So disconnect your camera real quick and reconnect. There we go. So yeah, she said that I'm totally stubborn. I can't see that about myself at all.
You just want to
go ahead and say something.
So you could say that you don't have a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not stubborn, not me. I listen to everything. I'm not hard-headed at all. Totally claiming that I'm not. So, and you said, what was this one here?
Why should it be brown instead of blue?
Because I'm full of shit.
Basically.
So what was the pain in my neck?
Well, you're a pain in my neck. Where you're pointing is shoulders.
So I'm a pain in your neck.
Yes.
I thought it was pain in the ass, but that's okay. I'll take pain in the neck.
That too.
Eric
Okay.
said, "Hi,
Shoulders.
Mom."
Shoulders represent an ability to carry out experiences in life joyously. We make life a burden by our attitude.
So what is it? How, explain that one. Make life a burden by our attitude? I'm not really sure what that means.
You don't have a good attitude, and so your shoulders are bothering you.
Me?
And
I
it's a
am
burden.
I am the epitome of positive. Positive Pete at its finest.
You say the words, but that doesn't always mimic what you're doing and feeling inside.
Okay. Well, we'll have to go further
You
in.
have to get past speaking the words and actually feeling the feelings.
Okay, I got you. Jose said, "Hey, Pam."
Hello, Jose.
And Eric said, "Hi, Mom."
Hi, Eric.
Ryan says, "My mom says that about my eyes. I'm full of shit up to my eyebrows." So we're going to talk about crystals tonight. I am wearing the rose quartz crystal. First, explain what crystals are, and then we can start talking about meaning. So for the people who aren't well versed in crystals.
Crystals are from the earth, and therefore they hold energy. Okay? And the energy that each stone has a vibration, and it has a meaning, and it can help with certain things. Okay? First, I think what I'd like to do is talk about different parts of the correspondence with the body.
Okay.
Like, let's say the brain. Okay? You can use amber, green tourmaline, dark blue tourmaline, beryl, blue agate, and these will help with your brain. If you're having
What with my brain, though? What are they going to help me do? Think clearly?
a little bit of everything. Think of
Okay.
anything that would be associated with your brain. And in the middle of your brain is the pineal gland, okay? And that would be the gem rhodonite that can help with that. A lot of people today, their pineal gland is calcified because of all of the chemicals that are in the food system and the fluoride in the water. You know, some people would say this is a conspiracy, but that's done, you know, a lot of us think intentionally because the pineal gland also connects to the third eye, which is in the middle of the forehead. The third eye is how we have our dreams, but it can also be used to connect with spirit and God, source energy, creator, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it, okay? And allow us to see things that are in other dimensions, okay? Yes, fluoride does make people docile, but it's also used to calcify the pineal gland. And when people start recognizing and they do things to stop that, you know, they stop using it in the toothpaste, they do things to get it out of their water, the things start coming through and people start having visions. And these visions we're meant to have, okay? And you can even at times feel a tingling sensation in the top of your head when that is activating.
Well, I know that I have this one crystal. We said that was azurite. It opens your third eye. You can meditate with it. Which I do sometimes.
Azurite. Let me just read you a little bit about azurite.
And what's up, real quick, while she's getting the definition. Hey, Carolee, thanks for joining. What's up, Shantae? Ryan said he felt that tingle a lot.
Azurite guides the psychic and intuitive development. It urges the soul towards enlightenment. It cleanses and stimulates the third eye and attunes the spiritual guidance. This crystal enables journeys out of the body to take place easily and safely. It raises the consciousness to a higher level and gives greater control over spiritual unfoldment. It facilitates entering a meditative and channeling state.
You can use it in conjunction with your you know, meditations, which you told me to look up some meditations on YouTube's. What were the, I said YouTube's, on the YouTube. Everything has an S. If you hang around me or talk to me at all, you know that everything has an S or it's the, just so you know. But which ones, there were specific ones you told me.
There are specific ones on YouTube that I like for opening the pineal gland and the third eye. It's called the solfeggio scale. Mm-hmm. That's SOLFEGGIO. And it's recorded at a certain megahertz. Initially, when you start listening to those, you know, and again, they have ones that are specifically geared towards the third eye and the pineal gland. When you first start listening to them, if you are not used to those scales, it can almost be painful. But once you get used to listening to them, then it becomes very soothing and it helps you journey quite a bit. Now, people that have trouble meditating, I always suggest to them that they start with a guided meditation, because listening to someone walk you through the process of meditating helps shut down that wheel spinning of the mind where, you know, while you're trying to meditate, you're thinking about, I got to go to the grocery store and I need to do the laundry. And you know, you're going over your to-do list when you're supposed to be getting to that quiet place. And you can't very well hear or, you know, have visions along the way in meditation if you're working through your to-do list.
Well, it gives you instructions. A guided meditation gives you instructions on how to relax your whole body. So that's really good. And
yeah,
then
I really like Dr. Brian Weiss. He has a couple that can be downloaded through, you can listen to samples of them on YouTube, but he has, you can go to hayhouse.com or you can go to his website and check out the links. And I see Shantae says, I just pray. Well, Shantae, prayer and meditation go hand in hand. Prayer is asking for something. And when you are meditating, you're listening for the answers. So they really go together.
They do. And that's why I always say, I've been to church only one time and I've had a pastor tell me to meditate. And meditate is listening and hearing your message. Prayer is just simply asking for it. So there is a big difference. And I learned that a long time ago, but only one pastor. And that's why I went back to that church, because there's a big difference. You got to listen for your messages.
Prayer is asking. And, you know, I stand by that. I can remember many, many years ago, there was somebody that made a statement that meditation was evil. And, you know, it's all a matter of your belief system. And when people don't understand things, they put a fear thing behind it, you know, to make people steer away from it. I like to say, you know, prayer is asking for something. And if you're always asking, you can't ever hear the answer. Exactly. But if you take time to meditate and listen, Krista, listen, then
I always listen. I got the ears wide open. They're like bionic ears. But seriously, I know I have a hard time listening and getting the message. I got to hear it 2 or 3 times. But I want to go back real quick. Eric asked a question. He said, why do some of his dreams come true?
There are dreams that are precognitive, which means you're getting a message ahead of time. Okay? There are dreams that are teaching you something. Okay? So it depends on what type of dream you're having as to whether or not it's going to unfold in front of your eyes. Okay? You know, when you're in a waking state. And, excuse me, not only do we live reincarnational lives, but we live multidimensional lives. In other words, many lives at one time. And sometimes when we are in a dream state, we are going into those other dimensions and experiencing things. And so sometimes those things unfold in the dream state. They're also You know, we're going through a vibrational shift right now in spiritual awakening. And some of the dreams that are coming up are things that are our literal worst fears. And we have to deal with those fears in order to move into the higher vibrational frequency and stay there. You know, right now we're moving in and out, okay? But if we get there and we want to stay there, and I can tell you from my own personal experience that when I started going through this vibrational shift, and because of the work that I do, I started several years ago, I took a walk through hell first, and then I got to go to the other side of it, and I got to experience the bliss. And of course, between the two, I want to get to bliss and stay there. And when the masses awaken, we will be able to do that, okay? But in the meantime, you know, what we do is we've got to get rid of our shit, as I'll call it, okay? We've got to get rid of our fears, our anger, our hatred, you know, the things that, and there are people that know that this vibrational shift is happening, okay? And they're not so evolved that they want it to happen, because once it happens, they won't have control over people. All the control mechanisms will be gone, okay? And again, that's part of the reason for the calcification of the pineal gland, the things that are being done to slow it down and stop it. You know, they may be able to slow it down, but they're never going to be able to stop it, okay? But in the meantime, what we have to do is awaken, and we have to address our own issues. Each one of us has to do our own work, okay? And we have to, you know, there'll be a collapse of ego. You know, up until a couple of years ago, I didn't even know what the human ego was. I thought that, you know, when we talk about the ego, it's like, oh, that person's egotistical. Well, discovering what the human ego is and what it is to reside in a third dimension consciousness, then you really discover what that ego is. And then when you have that collapse and experience unconditional love and that bliss feeling, it's something that is very difficult to put words to. It's very difficult to have terms in this dimension that anybody can understand unless they've experienced it.
I want to pause you real quick because we're going so fast. We're getting so much feedback. Thank you, Tim and 8 others for sharing. Thank you, Jose, for sharing. We really, really appreciate that. Frederico, if I butchered your name, I'm so sorry. He asked, what book do you recommend? Before you jump in, because I know you have a list, this book right here, A Course in Miracles, this book reads like a Bible, but it is absolutely amazing, and you, Mom, can explain it. But this, Jose, is the book that I was telling you about. It has so much information. It talks about, I just read last night how it talks about that we're all one mind. And you've touched on this before, but I'll let you explain it. And I know you have a trillion books that you want to recommend too.
Well, and you know what? I don't recommend every book that I've read to every person. You know, one of the reasons that I've had so many drop in my lap is because I have a wide range of people that come to me, and not everybody is ready for everything. If you're not ready for A Course in Miracles, it's going to read like a foreign language, okay? But if you're ready for it, it just opens up, and it's like, this makes so much sense. A book that I read in conjunction with it, because again, as you said, A Course in Miracles reads like a Bible. You read a page or two and absorb it and let it sit. I picked up a book by Gary Renard called Disappearance of the Universe. Gary's last name is R-E-N-A-R-D. Okay. And I started reading that book, and it referenced A Course in Miracles, which I already had on my shelf, but hadn't started reading. And so as I'm reading Gary's book, then I started the text. You know, I kept the course next to my bed on the nightstand, and I would read, you know, like one little section. Krista, open that up in the text. And in the text there, what is there? There's like 50 principles.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let's see. It's going to take me a minute to find it. You can start explaining the principles. Are they the chapters?
No, there's like in the very, very beginning of it, you know, and they're like 2 or 3 lines.
Principles of miracles?
That's it.
Okay.
How many are there? How many of the principles are there?
It's the very first, the principles of miracles.
Okay, so you read those first, you know, the principles first. And then after you read the principles, then you go into the text and it'll go through each one of the principles. Well, you don't want to read all 50 of those principles in one sitting because you're not going to absorb it. You need to read one principle and allow it to kind of soak into your mind. But at the same time, you could be reading Gary's book and read a chapter or 2, and it'll bring it all together and make sense to you.
For some people, it's hard, like me. I have to read the whole freaking book at one time. But this one is hard. I'm going to give you the first one here so you can understand what she's saying. Number 1 of the principles of miracles is there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. It's like saying there is no one sin that is greater than another.
Exactly.
They're all the same, and all expressions of love is maximal. So that's number 1. I mean, but you get so much from that you really have to process it to understand it.
Well, and you let that soak in. And, you know, if you're doing things in combination, like you're reading A Course in Miracles, you're reading Gary's book, and you're meditating, you are doing your work, okay? And as I said before, there's not a soul on this earth that doesn't have work to do, okay? We're all a work in progress. And as we go through our work and we address our issues, it gets easier and easier. And the things that you have previously looked at and you've judged them, and we've all gone through judgment of things, slowly but surely your judgment of things collapses. And the judgment is the ego. And we stop judging others and we start understanding this person this is where they are in their journey right now. And so their behavior is equal to where they are. And instead of being upset with them for where they are in their journey, you come up with empathy and understanding for it. And you understand that, you know, let's say somebody goes off on you and really just lambasts you and lets you have it. You know, at a certain point, you look at that and you say, wow, I really feel sorry for that person, instead of going back toe to toe with them.
Or like
the process.
Thank you for that experience.
Exactly. You know, because at any given time, you know, as the Course tells us, you're a student or a teacher, and you can be teaching somebody a lesson, or you can be being taught a lesson, okay? We're all teachers and we're all students, and what better way to learn something than by teaching it?
Well, I want to go back to the ego real quick, and I just read this last night. It's just perfect timing, that the ego is what's trying to, what's the word?
Survive.
I'm sorry?
The human ego is what's trying to survive.
Well, it's not love. It doesn't have psychic abilities. The ego is what we beat ourselves up with. It's an attack on our own selves because it's trying to stop you from, it's what makes
all these, the ego tells you stories. It tells you all these reasons why you can't do this, why you shouldn't do that, why you should judge this person. You know, and that's what I tell people. It's not necessarily what's going on out there, but that's the story you're telling yourself. You know, you can have a situation and, you know, let's say I'm sitting over here in my house and all of a sudden somebody says, well, Pam did this and she's not doing this because of this. Now, I'm sitting over here and I don't know anything about what's going on over there. But then I hear about it. Instead of getting upset, you confront the situation and say, well, what's going on? Because I had nothing to do with this. I didn't say this. I didn't do this. And most people that know me know that, you know, if a situation like that happens, I confront it head on. I don't let it build up. Do I, Krista?
No. You always want to talk about stuff as soon as it happens. I'm like, hold on, let me think about this for a little while. I don't really want to talk about it right now. But no, you're much better at that. When I was reading How to Communicate, I think it's How to Communicate a couple of months ago, it said that when something does happen, the best way to do it is to talk about it right then. Fix it right then. You're more likely to solve it than if you go on, let it build up, and then you're going to explode on everyone. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for watching. But yeah, you're right. Communicating when you have the issue is definitely the way to do it and solve it. You have to think.
The longer you let it sit, the more the other person that's involved is going to be telling themselves stories.
Yeah.
Convincing themselves that those stories are true.
Very true.
Okay? And when you deal with it straight up, then there's no way that they can build that story up to the point where they've convinced themselves that it's real.
Yeah, I mean, but then even when you talk to them, they still tell themselves stories. So you really, it just depends on how we evolve.
Again, that's not on you. That's the story they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
Where the issue you get into there is you go and clear it up so that you feel good about what's going on.
Yeah.
But if they choose to keep telling them stories, that's their lesson. That's their brick, so to speak. Now, do you want to take their lesson and make it yours?
No, have enough of my own. Good on that. Angela said, good point. Jose said, you're on point, and it's just clouds passing by. So, and Frederico is asking, how does meditation work?
Does he mean, how do you meditate?
I think that's where he's going with that.
Okay. If you listen to the guidance, if you're doing a guided meditation, they will walk you through the steps of actually like tensing up your muscles and releasing it. And when you go through that process with each limb of your body, you realize how tense you've actually been. Okay? Like, when he says, tighten up your facial muscles and now release them, you realize, I've been walking around jaw clenched my entire life. I didn't even know that was a muscle.
The RBF.
And, you would be surprised at the number of people that don't even realize, have you ever felt yourself tighten your brain up and then let loose? The brain is actually a muscle. Okay? And you can feel it when you release it. And, it walks you through all of the steps. And then, Dr. Weiss gives visualizations, where you can literally see something. Okay? He'll tell you to visualize a color. Now, for somebody that I call a wheel spinner, they're doing their to-do list. Out of the gate, they're not going to have visions. They're not going to travel. But if you consistently do it for 3 to 5 times a week, by the time you get through 2 weeks of doing it 3 to 5 times a week, I guarantee you that you're going to be visualizing and journeying. And by that point, you're going to not make excuses for why you don't have time to do it today. It's going to be, wow, I went someplace and I saw this and I experienced this when I was in meditation. I want to do it every day. And so you go from doing it 3 to 5 times a week to doing it every single day.
I've gotten to the point, I told you before, I do it twice a day. I set my alarm an hour early so I can lay there and do the meditation. And then I do it at night. And it really has helped me. I even come home in the middle of the day or the evening and I have to stop because it really relaxes me and it opens up my entire mind. I told you yesterday that I hit a point where I feel so wide open. My mind is just like so, and I feel it right now. It's so like, it's hard to explain. You said it's like electrical pulses going through your head, but you just feel so in tune with what your thoughts are that you have a lot of clarity. And I'm not always that way, but there's definitely a difference after I've meditated than when I'm groggy and I don't really know. If I have a ton of clarity, I know exactly what to do. There's no question in my mind. So it really has helped me. I've become addicted to it, honestly.
It is addicting, okay? And it's beneficial in so many ways. You know, I've gone through most of my life being able to look at situations and know, you know, if there are three choices, which one to take. Now, that doesn't mean that the right choice for me was always an easy walk, but I've always known the right choice for me. And I could have 500 people tell me, no, that's not the right thing to do. If I felt like I was being guided to make that choice, even though that 500 people said, no, don't, I would still do it because I knew it was right for me. And that has always worked for me in my life.
We have a question real quick. Eric said, I have had dreams about people dying before they died, including the last pope. I saw 10,000 Indians dead before the major earthquake in India in 2000, and I went to my father's funeral in my dream. I warned him, and that saved his life from a major car accident. I could go on and on.
Did he say it saved his life from a major accident?
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, sometimes what happens remember I said precognitive dreams. There are times when we get things precognitively because we can change what's going to happen. And it is meant to speak up, even if somebody's going to think you're batshit crazy, because you're telling them something that they don't know how to deal with. Okay? But what it does is it makes them aware, and then they start paying attention to what's going on around them. So by you saying something to your father, he started paying attention, and that's how he avoided the accident. That was meant for you to change it. Now, you can't, you know, I've experienced seeing some of these global events, like I saw the Boston bombing 3 years before it happened. But if I'd have made an attempt to call anybody and tell them what I was seeing, they would have either, you know, believed that I was part of the planning or something else, okay? There's no way for us to stop these global events from happening. But what they act as when you are opening up is a validation that what you are getting in your precognitive state is real, okay? There are things that are meant to be changed. There are things that we're shown to prepare us. And then there are things that are being shown to us to validate that, no, you're not going crazy. You're really seeing these things, and they really are happening.
I've talked to you several times about dreams that I've had, and some of them have come true, but I have had dreams where I wake up in tears, and I know the first thing I do is ask you, what should I do? Because they really terrify me. So
and what do I tell you?
You got to talk about it.
And you asked, I mean, you know, and especially if you're seeing someone that you love, you're at a funeral, you know, you see somebody, you know, unless you just absolutely know that this is an antagonistic relationship and they are not going to listen to you, you know, then there's no sense in talking to them. You know, I had that kind of thing happen many years ago where I saw it, you know, I talked to you about it after the fact. I couldn't beforehand, but I knew that your dad was going to pass. And, you know, I got it 30 days before it happened, okay? But I knew that wasn't a situation where I could do anything about it, okay? Mm-hmm. But there are situations where it comes up where you need to speak up. You need to say something and try to do something, okay? Mm-hmm. And yeah, Eric, I think I just saw where you had written, you know, you thought that that earthquake was like a nuclear event. I've had something similar, you know, where, and when you first wake up from a dream, when you see these global events, sometimes they may appear to be something different than what they actually are. if you're not already keeping a dream journal, I would suggest that you start keeping one. You know, the way that you interpret a dream the morning you wake up versus the way you interpret it 6 months from the time that you had it can be completely different.
That's very true. I've had several dreams, and I've even recently where people have passed over, and I thank goodness that they didn't come true. But I told you I had 3 dreams about my dad dying before he did in several different instances, and I wish I had known then. It probably would have helped me mentally prepare more, but at least I can use it and say that I know now those are sometimes they're in preparation to prepare you. And
right, they're in preparation if it's not something that you can change. And Eric, I understand wanting to change something, but let me just tell you, you know, making a phone call like that is not going to get you the kind of attention, you know, even though you're wanting to help. The attention that it's going to bring to you is going to be something that is not going to be healthy for you, okay? And, you know, I've had situations where I've had to go into things that I didn't. I had to speak to a police officer one time back in my court reporting days because testimony was that was when God kind of converged my 2 careers and brought them together. And I fought it tooth and nail, where I had to actually speak to this police officer and tell him that, listen, the way that this testimony was given wasn't the way the dead guy was telling it. And, you know, needless to say, I was very, very nervous about it. But on a global event, I would not recommend it.
yeah, they might try to link you into that.
Yes, especially the way that our governments work. And I say governments because I'm saying globally, all of the governments are virtually the same. And if you try to warn them about something, you're going to get drug into something that you may or may not be able to get out of.
Yeah. Well, we have completely gotten away from the crystal conversation, but this has been good. If anybody else has any more questions, Lisa said, your mom is so interesting. And Eric said, it was within days. He said, I believe in God because of my dreams.
I believed in God before my dreams, but I can tell you that God has been such a presence in my life that I have always attributed the gifts that I have to God. And I feel blessed that He's given them to me and then guided me and protected me along the way and using them in the way that I use them.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
He said sorry. And Frederico says, I'm going to have to let you girls go or let you guys go. Thank you for your books. Sorry I can't stay longer, but you girls are amazing and thank you. Thank you, Frederico, for spending time with us this evening. And Jessica says, I don't usually have dreams, but I have really bad anxiety before someone passes away. I never know who it's going to be, but typically I will have this anxiety and have thoughts of death and get very upset. Anywhere from a day to a week later, someone passes away. It's happened to 3 of my uncles, a friend of the family, and my dad. It was terrible with my dad. I was writing down when I would have these attacks, then I'd write down the person that passed. But after Dad passed, I stopped. He died in 2015. And she said, sorry if this has nothing to do with your discussion, but the dreams made me think of it. Actually, that's exactly what we were talking about. And thank you,
Jessica, and I would suggest to you that you start doing meditations because, you know, this anxiety, you've got your third eye closed down, so to speak, okay? And I don't know if you were on earlier, but the third eye is in the middle of the forehead. It's the psychic eye. It's the eye that connects us to the God spirit and the other realms. And it is the eye that we have our dreams with. The reason it works when we're sleeping as well as it does is because we have our logical mind shut down, okay? But the ego still has access to that dream world, okay? And the anxiety is because when our gifts are coming in, and we all have these gifts, we're all able to access them, okay? This is an inborn thing that God has given each and every one of us, okay? And it's not a matter of do I have it, it's a matter of how do I open the door, and how do I access it, and how do I use it, okay? What's happening with you is yours is coming in first with a feeling, and it works its way to your heart, and you get anxious about it. Okay. And if you work towards opening your third eye and the pineal gland so that you can get messages in the other ways, then you will start seeing. And so you'll have something to work from. And when you are supposed to, you will be able to change the circumstances. We're not always supposed to change them. Sometimes we're supposed to be prepared. But there are times when we can change those circumstances.
Well, we just talked about that with Eric's dream, and also with mine, is that sometimes they're just to mentally prepare you. And when I have those scary dreams, they're very lucid. They're very real. I come to you and ask you, and I'd always text you at 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke up with a dream. I need your help. I'm panicking because it's very scary and I don't know what to do.
Well, and when I went through my training for this vibrational shift, that's what we'll call it, training. I had a dream in 2010, and as you know, I'm writing a book about it. It's forever a work in progress, but I kept dying in that dream. Me dying in the dream didn't give me any anxiety. The fact that they kept sending me back to Earth, because they kept saying you have more work to do, every time I came back, somebody else died. And, it was a different person each time. And it was horrific deaths. Okay. And, that was the training for this. I can remember getting in front of these guides on the last go round and telling them, listen, you can keep sending me back, but if you take one of these people away from me like this, I won't be able to do the work you want me to do. Well, I believed I'd won the argument with the guides. I was, in the end of the dream, it was like, okay, I won the argument. It's all about a spiritual awakening. Well, when I'm telling my husband about the dream, he says, you should write that down. You'll never remember all those details. I heard the same female voice that had kept saying all night, things are not as they appear. She said to me, you'll remember when you need to know. So I didn't write it down. And within a couple of days, I forgot. And then in December of 2012, it started unfolding in front of my face. And I started experiencing these things that had happened in the dream. In fact, the first incident, I was on an airplane on my way back home from California. And at 30,000 feet in the air, I opened my eyes and I recognized every person on the airplane. And it's like, I've done this before. I've done this before. I don't know why I recognize everybody. And we're not talking airline flight attendants. I'm talking about passengers.
I think I would have gotten off the plane.
Yeah, gotten off the plane when you're 30,000 feet in the air isn't necessarily an option.
But didn't you look around when you got on the plane?
There was extreme anxiety, to say the least. Okay. And then over the next 3 days, I felt like I was in a time loop. I knew what was going to happen next. And, that was just the first of many incidents in this process. And that was the beginning of my walk through hell, so to speak. But I was surrounded by guardian angels, and, the humans that God put in my life walked this journey with me. And, as we write the book, we're getting permission to use real names, and some people have requested that their names be changed.
Javier. We got a question. Do you need to really be experienced at meditation to be able to astral project? Is this a good way to meet your guides?
Astral projection is different than meeting your guides. You do not have to astral travel in order to meet your guides. Your guides will come to you, okay? Astral projection, you know, that can be seen as two things. One, let's say I'm over here in my house and I'm projecting myself over there to your house, Krista, okay? Or there's astral travel where you're in meditation and you're out visiting other places and flying around and visiting other realms and other dimensions. Or you can visit other places in this dimension. No, you don't have to be a master meditator in order for that to happen. As I said, 3 to 5 times in 2 weeks with meditating, and you can be. It doesn't take a lot of practice to get there.
No, it just like you said, just doing it is going to make it improve for you.
It's just doing the work.
Yeah. Because then you start learning and you start tuning into it more. Basically, that's all it is. Just learning, reading about it, reading about different ways. The book that I just got this weekend about, and I don't have it down here. I don't have
How to communicate with your angels?
See, that's it. Yeah. That one I just pretty much read in a day and a half. And it gives you different ways. Like, it's telling you how to open your third eye and that you need to have a clear path from your back to the front of your head. And it tells you exactly what to do step by step and how to open up, and even meditations to say to your angels to help you with it. So it's a really good book.
Well, the other thing is, you know, a lot of people don't realize it. You know, you want to sit with your arms crossed. You don't want your, you know, sitting with your legs crossed because you're blocking energy when you do that.
Yeah.
You want to have your spine.
I think
Down. You know, you can be sitting, but you want your spine to be in a straight fashion.
Yeah. Even if you're laying down, right?
Yeah, even if you're laying down, that works. It's just you don't want to be, you know, doing things that are going to cross the energy or block it. Like, don't sit like this and meditate.
Mm-hmm. No, everything should be like circular, opening yourself up. Aylola asked, what's the name of the book? I think it was How to Communicate with Your Angels.
That's by Doreen Virtue.
Yeah. But I think this is probably a good place to cut it off for the evening. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you have any suggestions on names for the show, this is going to be a weekly show because it seems to be pretty popular. And it took much talking her into doing this because she wasn't up to doing this. So please give us suggestions for the name of the show. It will be weekly and we will announce it what day it will be. I think she's going to rotate it at this point. She's got to maintain her flexibility. There's no stubbornness there. So again, thanks for watching. And I'm about to jump on if you guys are following my real estate show. It's up next.
Thank you, Lisa.
And Michael, thank you for watching.
And Krista, it's not about flexibility, okay? I am flexible if I can rotate a show, okay?
I'm talking about myself, and you're knock on me, my inflexibility and stubbornness.
Let's not forget that I'm getting ready to go to the jungle in June, so.
Oh, I wish you would take a film crew because this is going to be an epic event. Epic. Her exact words are, my idea of roughing it is at the Holiday Inn. And she's going into the jungle with a mosquito. It used to be the Holiday Inn. It's the Hilton now. Okay. Well, and she's going into the jungle. How long are you going to be there? In the jungle?
Flying down. The trip is a total of about 16 days. 11 days will be in the jungle.
Oh, can you take like a GoPro camera? Because this needs to be documented. Because your makeup is looking nice right now. So I want to know how she's going to live. She wears contacts with no makeup and doing her hair in the jungle. Just let that one, mull that over for a little while. I'd love to be a mosquito on the net.
There are going to be no mosquitoes on me, period.
I like they give you prep instructions. Stop eating sugar so the mosquitoes won't attack you. Anita said, you are great. Valerie said, thank you. Learning so much. Can you do a show on reincarnation?
Yes, we can.
And we will definitely post about which one we're doing next week, but we are taking show topics, so please feel free. And like I said, my home front show is coming up next, so if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to go live right after the show.
And if anybody wants to book a private reading, they can get in touch with me, send a private message here on Facebook, or they can call. My phone number is 914-620-5776. My website is heavencallingearth.com.
And thank you guys again for spending time with us on this Monday evening, and we will see you. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
And don't forget to share the feed so other people can watch the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be selfish with the information. Let everybody know. Have a good night.